Going, members of the Town of Washington Historical Society, friends, other people whom I may not know who have been bold enough to come, welcome. I apologize for having to use notes tonight, because I do, because there are simply so many dates rushing one on top of the other, and I didn't want to get them mixed up. I believe my title should be The History of the Millbrook Hunt. Now, if you really want to read about the history of the Millbrook Hunt, go upstairs in the library, and you'll find that the book that is gotten out for the bicentennial, the article by Peter Devers, is by far more interesting and entertaining than anything you'll hear tonight. The only thing I can do to better Peter is that I'm a little bit older, and I have known a good many of the individuals of the earlier days, and you might be intrigued with some of their eccentricities. You cannot have a hunt without a country, and also say without money too, because it does cost the people to be down. And we in Millbrook are very often unaware of the absolutely magnificent country we live in. It's a small plateau. It runs roughly from 12 mountains all the way up to what I call the Green Hill Road, which is the fine famed Militant Road. And it extends from Route 22, the original country registered in Millbrook Hunt, and all the way over to the Hudson River, including the middle of Poughkeepsie. That we never used at all, and then it's given some away to John Bauer on 2 occasions, our neighbors, and we gave some to another neighbor, and still now the southern part of the country. And now in this time of the century, we are not able to hunt all of it because sheer economy prevents us from keeping it up. This little plateau we live on, you rise up about 800 or 900 feet from Route 22, and you stay on it until you come just above the Altamont Gate, and then you come down the long hill by the golf club to South Millbrook, and then from there on it's all downhill to the Hudson River, a mile drop. The village of Millbrook itself is 565 feet high, and the highest part of the country we hunt over is east of Commodore, I've never known this was right, and that goes up to 1,344 feet, and that is where Silver Mountain is. And if you don't know Silver Mountain, on some clear evening, go up there and see the sunset. It's absolutely magnificent. If it wasn't for the Catskills, you'd see the Mississippi. There were various individuals who played a part in the founding of the Millbrook Hunt, but they did it without knowing anything about the part the other fellow was playing. And it was very interesting. It took about 5-6 years for the threads were tied together and the Millbrook Hunt became a thing of being. The first of those was Mr. Charles Dietrich. He came up to Millbrook, a very wealthy man, and he built and wired in this enormous area just outside the Dietrich Gate at the end, Dark Road, turn to your right, go up. And Mr. Dietrich's property is roughly 10 miles square. When he built his house, and then he built a large fenced-in area for game preserves, and brought over a herd of deer from Germany, English ringneck pheasants from England, and also what is known as the European brown hare. Those are the big hare you see around Thorndale, and they're nowhere near as plentiful now as they used to be. They used to be all over the place. But they're big animals, and they're about that high. They're very fast, if you talk to them 45 miles an hour, a short distance, and they've been hunted in Millbrook ever since they escaped from the Dietrich's plan to keep them as conserved property. Then the next person to come along was Howard Davison. That would be your uncle, aunt, and that's right. And G. Howard Davison was a very colorful figure, and he thought it would be kind of fun to get a pack of so-called hounds together, which he did. They were dogs, really. Sheepdogs, Dalmatians, anything that was around the countryside. But there were no hounds. I think we got 1 or 2 hounds later on, and they had a lot of fun running drag and then running tail or fox line as they came across. But it was very informal and very what we call a scratch pack. It just came from everywhere, and nobody cared what happened, everybody had a good time. Around 1900, a young man left Castlebar in Ireland. He must have been in his 18s or 19s then. He hunted all the sites in Ireland, and he found the time to leave home, which he wanted to do, and come to this country. So he went to Liverpool and shipped out of Liverpool as an apprentice seaman on square rig Dumfriesshire, go to San Francisco by way of Cape Horn. By mileage, by sea miles, that's about a little over 15,000 sea miles. It took them 4.5 months, and they only saw one ship the entire trip, and that was off Cape Horn. She was having just as much rough weather as they were. And after he arrived, he worked his way east in different stages, the idea being to end up somewhere with a veterinary certificate. This he did eventually when he come far east as New York, and in New York he got his certificate as a veterinarian. So he went to Plainfield area of New Jersey, and in 1902 he started a small hunt, just so you can just hand out of the house. He started a very small hunt there known as the TOWNH, no longer in existence. The part of this world about 1912 or 13. It was grown the same way. I think Millbrook probably will be in another 50 years, if not less. There's too many houses, too many people. We've seen it in Long Island, it's happening in New Jersey, and it's too close to the great metropolis of New York. And O'Malley Knott founded this pack. He had 6 couple of hairy beagles or black and tans, and they had a few couples of English hounds, and they ran drag. There was a man from Millbrook by the name of Charles Marshall. He was a very prominent lawyer in his day, and he had a house on Route 343 just above 9 Parsons Lane, and it was known as Milestone. The house was no longer there. The property it was just above Breeze Hill. And Charles Marshall had a friend called Louis Waring, who used to go out and hunt with Mr. Knott at Watch Up. And Mr. Waring asked him down, and he went, and he made several visits down there, hunting, enjoying himself with their drag pack. And then he made a lasting friendship with Mr. Marshall. And Mr. Marshall, realizing what beautiful country he had, wanted to get Mr. Knott's idea on it. So he asked O'Malley Knott. And O'Malley came up here and he met Mr. Thorne. When I speak of Mr. Thorne, I'm speaking of the great-grandfather of the Oakley Thorne who lives at Thorndale now. He was a contemporary of my father. And Mr. Knott fell ecstatically in love with this Millbrook area. And they spoke to Mr. Thorne about the possibility of hunting here. He said no, he had hunted all over every single acre all his youth as a boy and whatnot, but he didn't think it would be feasible on horseback. Although he would go on horseback and then walk and shoot and whatnot, but he didn't think of a galloping pack of hounds, this would be the country. And the more O'Malley Knott saw of it, the more and more he fell in love with it. He had no job at the moment except in his veterinary job, maybe he could sell horses here. And Mr. Marshall suggested he see Miss Bennett, and he did, and Miss Bennett gave him the job as his first riding instructor. And he was responsible for the building of the ring which is in South Millbrook, just adjoining our property. And he also built the house that my wife and I and the children live in. Now, O'Malley Knott was a very interesting man in many, many ways. He only had one failing. He had the roviness, the roving eyes for a pretty girl. And he couldn't help it. It was a fact. And one night there was a lovely, lovely fancy dress ball given up at Altamont. And there was an awfully pretty girl there. And O'Malley just couldn't keep from dancing with her. He didn't know who she was, he didn't talk to him. Everybody had a mask on. And he danced with her, danced with her, danced with her. Everybody started joking about it. And finally, when it came to unmask, who should it be but his own daughter? she was a pretty girl. She was a very pretty girl with the lovely name of Grania O'Malley Knott. Irish as a talent. And when she was about 19 or 20, she was driving her car in New York, and those were the days before they had automatic lights and signals. The policeman would stand in the middle of the crossing and have a little handle that said go to stop. And Grania didn't see the thing during the stop and went through it. And the whistle blew. The cop pointed to her and yelled, "Pull over to the curb." You know, when she walked over to her. "Now, miss, what would you be doing going through the stop sign when I had it stopped?" She looked at him. And there were. He said, "Sure, and for that, you'll have to be getting a ticket." So he started to get his fare, and I said, "Now, miss, your name?" She looked at him and smiled. She said, "Grania O'Malley." "Glory be to God," said the woman. "You're right, so long and have a good time and all they say." And then O'Malley did get the job at Bennett, and he persuaded Mr. Marshall to get a few hounds together and start an organized hunt. So Mr. Marshall did. He got some of O'Malley Knott's Terry Blues from New Jersey, and he got 6 couple of hounds from England, and he had the beginnings of a small hunt. They got scarlet goats, and trying to do things that's the way they knew. And O'Malley Knott was huntsman. Bryce Wing, who no longer lived here, I think he may have died in the year in Maryland, was his whip. And young Charlie Marshall, Charlie Marshall we all know now, at the age of 10 was all decked out in the scarlet coat and velvet cap, part of the traditional accoutrements of the star. And Charlie boasted that he could ride. Well, he also proved that every time the horse went down, his pony went down an incline, Charlie both fell flat because he was just as bad as he did, because he couldn't ride at all at that age. So the pony jogging down the hill, his rough horse fell off. But O'Malley Knott would grab him by one hand, and his father would grab him with the other, and lift the little boy up, and the father would whistle, and the pony would come underneath. And then Charlie was all set for the next day. And then at the end of the year, O'Malley Knott had to give up his hunting this pack of hounds. They hunted drag and fox if they could, and of course particularly hare, because Sagan's hair had gotten all over from these creatures. And they hired a man by the name of Hopkins, who came from, he worked for Alec Higginson in Massachusetts. He came from Marshall in the house. It wasn't too satisfactory in the arrangement. And then we went to the year 1908. In 1907, the first year, Mr. Marshall wrote the Master Foxhounds Association registering the country as to be known as the Millbrook Hunt. That's similar to the Westminster Kennel Club, only he was solely organized packs of hounds. And the National Beagle Club has their own organization. And these maps a map accompanies your quest to be registered. They look at it and see nobody else is in the area. They have an organized pack. And then at the end of 2 years, during which is sort of a probationary time, you become recognized. So Millbrook became recognized in 1909. Now at the end of the 1909 season, Mr. Marshall no longer felt that he was able to do this on his own. It was expensive, it was abbreviated times and his law practice, and he just didn't know what to do. So he called a meeting and had all of his friends that hunted with him, sons, and talked over whether they should try and continue, or should this thing hold out as an experiment to fail. And they all voted to see that it did not continue, but the country should be responsibility to place were not ready for. So Malley walked away from that, and we seeing all of his dreams vanishing with each footstep. And behind them, he heard the gravel crunching, but apparently there was somebody walking around him. He turned around, and there was Mr. Thorne. And Mr. Thorne said, "Malley, what will it take to hunt hare properly in this country?" He said, "It will take a good huntsman who knows what he's about, and a good pack of hounds." Mr. Thorne, in his typical rather gruff way, with those fascinating eyes, said, "Can you get them?" And I said, "Yes, I think so." And someone said, "Go ahead and let me know the cost." And with that, Mr. Thorne became master in 1910. He was an extraordinary man, of course. He was a very prominent businessman in New York. But whatever he put his mind to, there was terrific drive. Everything was thought out carefully, mistakes were not made, and expense didn't enter into the conversation. So Mr. Thorne began getting hounds and began canneling this country. Now in those days, most of our hunting was done around Thorndale, down to the Cove, Burbank, Chestnut Ridge. We never crossed from Credit to that being our boundary, but we'd get over to right down to Dover Plains, and the mountains that run along from Dover up to Wasake or through there, they were opened up, and you can still see we're now opening up some more different, what we call rides. They're paths, the trails. They're wide enough for 2 horses, and all the brush is cleared high enough so people on horseback won't be hitting their hats and getting their eyes scratched out of their glasses often. And it takes a lot of time and expense to maintain it, and we have to let some of it go. Now we're trying to bring it back. But that was opened up all the way up as far as Smithfield Church, Huxley Hill and Smithfield Church are the north boundaries, going over to the Amina Mountains, and then to the west, going as far west as, let's say, Route 82, as it comes up by the police barracks and goes on to Stamfordville and Bangor. And all of that country in the course of the next 10, 15 years was magnificently handled, beautifully handled. Started with Jimmy Cooling came up to do it, and then he was followed by Dave Sloan, some of them lived up there at the corner house of Franklin Avenue for years. And Dave died a long time ago, and Mrs. Sloan died just within the last 2 or 3 years. And within a couple of years, Millbrook became famous for not only its hunting country, but the hounds that they were getting. And it should also be remembered that in 1909 and 10 and 11, this was the only country where game was hunted. The so-called big hunts around the New York area, Meadowbrook, Monmouth in New Jersey, and Essex in New Jersey. At that time, they were all hunting drag, whereas we were hunting mostly hare and occasionally fox. Now, Mr. Thorne, having started saying, "Let me know," of course, didn't realize what he was getting into. But you have to have hounds if you want to have a hunt also, as well as the country. So he had a son-in-law over in England at the time, and then he had another son-in-law here that he was visiting. So those 2 young men, Nettie Carl and Jersey Lewis, were commissioned to buy a pack of harriers for their father-in-law, which they did. This was in 1910. They got 15 and a half, a couple of harriers from Ireland, and they came over with a man, huntsman by the name of Huckvale. Huckvale was hunting harriers in Ireland, and these packs came through thanks to O'Malley's father's friend, Mr. Bowles. They came over here, the 15 and a half couple. And And the first year's sport was very good. In 1911, Mr. Thorne got 20 couple of hounds in England, and then he purchased the balance of Eugene Reynald's hounds. Now, Eugene Reynald moved to Millbrook in 1911 and lived in the house where the Dysons now live. We'll get to him later on in the story. But at this time, he was master of a pack of hounds called the Westchester County, and they were a drag pack that hunted around the White Plains area. And Eugene Reynald was picking up his mastership, and they likewise were feeling the pressure of New York, so Mr. Thorne purchased their hounds. Just to buy for a moment. Eugene was a very extraordinary man. He was a superb horseman. Absolutely superb. That's why probably none of the other people really liked him very much. He was so much better than they were. And for those of you that ride Thorne, you might be interested in three things that have always intrigued me. I used to ride quite a lot with Eugene when I was a boy. And once he got on his horse, there was reins in his hand, and that was it for the day. He went all day long. Never, like the rest of us, falling in sail or letting something go, trying to catch it. That was it. The second thing was that every time his horse jumped the fence, at the moment the horse's rump was about to be perpendicular to the fence, he brought his legs back and just squeezed the horse behind the ribs. And you could see the hind legs stuck up maybe that much more. And the third thing, and that's very hard, I tried for years to do it, but it didn't work. And the third thing that I thought so interesting, Mr. Jane, was the fact that when he had to go to New York, which he did occasionally for business, he would ask his children to exercise the horse he was like 12, and then he would come back the next day and ride those same horses and tell each child which horse they rode or the way the horse went with him. Now, you've got to be pretty accomplished to do that. And anyway, he comes up later with the usual things. So that gave Mr. Thorne a couple of hounds to go with. The second year wasn't quite so good. And the third year, 1912, was much worse. It turned out that Hugdale had been a foxhound man, that had been under foxhounds in England most of his life. 1 or 2 years in Ireland with Harriers, didn't show up, and they didn't show up the first year here. But it's very, very difficult for a foxhound huntsman to turn over to hunt Harriers, and the Harrier huntsman is vice versa turn over and hunt foxhound. You'll see that as we go along with the other names coming with it. And then, at the end of 1912, Mr. Thorne got another pack of hounds from England, a pack of Harriers, and a very good pack. And with them he got a very good huntsman by the name of Harry Knott. Charlie, you may remember Harry Knott, who was the nicest fellow that ever lived and a very good Harrier huntsman. And then sport picked up in every way. And of course, the sport began to get a little bit better. The people in Millbrook got a little bit greedier. So they said, why not have a little more fox hunting instead of hare hunting? So in order to satisfy them, Mr. Thorne in 1913 purchased 20 couples of hounds, and made 40 more hounds. And that enabled them to hunt hare 3 days a week, lots of hounds. English take out more hounds hunting than the country allows it. The method of hunting is slightly different. You have to adjust your hunting to the type of country your hounds are hunting over. And he also asked his friend Alex Higginson from Boston to bring his own pack of English foxhounds down, his own horses and his own style, kenneled at Thorndale. So Millbrook now had a pack of Harriers going out 2 days a week, a pack of foxhounds going out the other 3 days a week. And when Mr. Reynald moved here, he brought his very excellent pack of eagles, and they went out on Sundays. And they hunted the area roughly from where he lived in Poplar Hill down as far as village. Not that far down, North Mills anyway. So you see, those of us who were able to hunt in those days, like 7 days a week, fully occupied, the crime rate in Millbrook dropped enormously. Mr. Thorne's famine still was going on and on. And as I said, Dave Sloan came into the picture. And Dave was capable, but he was rough. Dave was a rough talker and a rough actor. And he had a very, very nice colored groom working for him, who had the misfortune of having practically everything wrong physically. He was splay-footed and flat-footed, and his facial features were far from attractive, but he was the nicest fellow, the heart of gold I've ever met. And Dave Sloan walked in the stable at 4 in the morning, and Bill was brushing off the horse's foot and hoof. Bill said, "Morning, Bill." And he didn't hear Bill say good morning, so he just called off and spot him on him and knocked him out. And Bill came to, leaning against his upright, straight stall, said, "Mr. Sloan, I never knew that horse to get before." Then this arrangement of 6 days a week in the Beagles lasted until 1915, when Mr. Higginson did not bring his hounds back. And then Mr. Thorne split his pack from what he called the big lot to the little lot. The big lot being the foxhounds, the little lot being the harriers. And the harriers, incidentally, were far superior to the foxhounds. And now you have Harry Knott, who was the harrier huntsman, hunting foxhounds. And within a year or two, the foxhound hunting just went downhill like this, and the harrier hunting remained good. Otherwise, the harrier huntsman trying his best to attack a foxhound. But as a rule, it just doesn't work. There must be some people who can do it, the same way there are people who can judge any kind of animal at a show. They can judge horses, or dogs, or cattle, or things like that. They just have the eye and then just what to look for. And then again, he asked Mr. Higginson to come back in 1917, but not for the town, but just to come and be an honorary huntsman to both packs, the Millbrook Harriers and Millbrook Foxhounds. But now you saw the opposite. You saw the Millbrook Foxhounds getting better and the Harriers getting worse, for the simple reason that Alec Higginson had foxhounds all his life, and Harriers and they hunted us all. As you heard me say before, whatever Mr. Thorne did, he did well. And it was